your girl Tara, coming to you from thecraftsurgeons.com, and thanks for joining me for another episode in my Fast to Fabulous series, where I share with you guys how you can take a really simple layout and create something more fabulous or stepped up. So in today's video, these are the two cards that we're going to create today. So I have a really cute, simple I love you with a little piggy with the kisses on the butt. I love it. And then this is the more stepped up version of that card. Isn't that cute? Oh, I actually did this card on my Facebook Live. It's called Stampin' Sundays with the Craft Sergeant at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to join me, you can every single Sunday. That's where I share inspiration. But I initially did this card, and then I thought, oh my gosh, this would be really, really cute to do a video, a simple and then a stepped up card for both. So here we are. So today I'm going to share with you guys how we're going to create these. And I do want to let you guys know that these cards feature product that are actually on the retiring list. So with that, stay tuned so I can give you all the details about all of the retiring product that we're going to be using today. And I'm going to show you guys step by step on how to create them. So keep watching. Let's get stamping. All right, so the first thing we're going to use on the card are the stamp sets, this little piggy and genuine gems. As I mentioned earlier, there are some items on this card that are retiring, and these two stamp sets are actually one of those items or two of those items. So with that, if you haven't heard already, Stampin' Up! Is going through their transition time right now where there are last chance products because we're transitioning to the 2020 to 2021 annual catalog, which is going to launch on June 3rd. So you have until June 2nd or while supplies last to get your hands on a lot of the stamp sets that will be retiring. And like I said, these two are in that list or on that list. So if there's something you have on your wish list that you've been waiting on, I would highly encourage you to head over to my online store, which is linked down below in the description box, and buy it, purchase it, because if it's on that list, it will no longer be available after the new catalog launches, okay? And one thing to caveat about that, the while supplies last, there's stuff that's already sold out and discontinued. This one has been a fave of many, many stampers. It's called This Little Piggy, and I love it because there's 4 little piggies here, and the sentiments are so stinking adorable. So we have hugs and kisses, then you have this little piggy, and then you can add on to that by saying loves you or says thanks. There's this little piggy with wings here that says she believed she could, so she did. And then this little piggy cried wee 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 all the way home. I'm just kidding. No, he said, you make me happy. That's what he said. But there's 4 cute pigs, and then there's some like little lips here, which we're going to use today, which I think are stinking adorable. And then there's like a little cloud. And of course, this stamp set has open images, so it's great for watercoloring and Stampin' Million coloring, which is what we're going to be doing today on today's cards. The other set that I am going to be using is called Genuine Gems, and this particular set I think is one that I'm going to keep in my stash just because there are times where you just don't know what to say. There's nothing that you can say, but you just want to create a card just to make someone feel good, right? So this has a lot of those sentiments in it. So there's nothing else to say but so sorry. Well, this is just difficult. I'm sorry I haven't been in touch. I know this must be hard for you. There's no good card for this. I just didn't know what to say. Now, I know those are kind of like somber and sad sentiments a little bit. However, there are a few motivational and pump you up ones. So like, you got this, which kind of motivates and pumps you up. I love you, which is a positive. And then I told the universe to send some awesome your way. So this is a really good set. I think this is a sleeper in our in the current catalog, and I haven't seen too many cards using it, so that's why I call it a sleeper. But I decided to pull in this I love you sentiment for the card that we're going to be creating today because I thought I love the font of it, and it looks really nice on the cards that we're creating. So those are the stamp sets that we're going to be using. For cardstock, I'm using, sorry, my daughter, she was taping stuff onto my little plastic sheet. But for cardstock, we are going to be using the following. I have thick whisper white, I have regular whisper white, I have petal pink cardstock, I have mossy meadow, and let's see, and then this is a piece of DSP that comes from the Magnolia Lane DSP. I think that's what it's called. It's called, yeah, Magnolia Lane Designer Series paper, which coordinates with the Morning Magnolia suite of products, which is really gorgeous. So it's really beautiful paper. And this paper is also retiring as well, okay? So just keep that in mind. So if you see the paper and you want it, it's on your wish list, make sure that you get your hands on it before it's too late. For inks, I am using the following. I'm going to be using my Tuxedo Memento Black ink because we're going to be doing some Stampin' Blend coloring. I'm also tying in some lovely lipstick and my Mossy Meadow ink. And then since we're going to be doing a little bit of heat embossing with our sentiment here, of course you're going to need your Versamark along with all of your heat embossing tools. Like for example, I'm using my white powder, I have my embossing buddy, and I have my heat tool off to the side. On top of the inks, like I said, we're going to be doing some Stampin' Blend coloring, so I am going to be using the following combos. I have Petal Pink, I have Granny Apple Green, I have Crumb Cake, and then optional, I'm using my color lifter, but I may or may not need this. Not sure yet, but we'll see as we get stamping. So I have that off to the side just in case. And then to embellish, I am going to be using some of my linen thread and of course these gorgeous champagne rhinestones. I love, love, love these rhinestones. They are beautiful and they work really, really wonderfully with Petal Pink, by the way, just so you know. All right, and I think that's basically it outside of like your normal adhesives that you would normally use. So now that we know what we're going to be using on today's cards, let's go ahead and get stamping. All right, so we're going to start off with our simple card first. So we are going to take a piece of thick whisper white for our card base. This measures at 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches. It's scored at 4.25 inches. So this is like a normal standard A2 size card. Then I'm going to have my piece of Petal Pink. This measures 5.25 inches by 5 inches. And then I have a piece of Whisper White, and this measures 3.5 inches by 4.75 inches. Okay, so there's that. So we're gonna go ahead and assemble our layers. So I'm just gonna use my Snell adhesive. Usually I actually, you know what? Usually I use my Tombow. I love my Tombow. So I know I just put some Snell adhesive on there, but I'm just gonna stick my stick some Tombow on here. And we're gonna flip this little guy over just like this, and we're gonna attach it to our card base just like so. We're gonna make sure we line it up, make sure it's even. Okay, then we have our piece of Whisper White here. Now since this is such a simple card, all we're gonna do is do all of our stamping onto our piece of Whisper White. So I'm going to first take my Memento ink and I am going to ink up my little piggy. Now here is the trick that I use, because if you noticed on the stamp itself there's a sentiment. It says Hugs and Kisses. Now on my card I don't have the sentiment on there, and how I got rid of that is I took a piece of tape. You can take a sticky note, but I prefer tape because it's a lot smaller and I think less waste. And I'm just going to cover up that sentiment just like this. I'm going to tape that down kind of good. Make sure it's stuck to that stamp so it doesn't come up as we're inking up our stamp. Then we're going to take our ink and we're going to just ink our stamp up just like that. Super easy. And then we're going to peel away that tape. So that way it leaves the sentiment underneath the stamp uninked. So that way when we stamp it down, we won't have to worry about it getting on our project. All right, so we're gonna stamp this little guy right off to the side, just like this. Boom. Isn't he cute? So adorable. So adorable. All right, so there we go. We're going to close up our Memento ink, and now we're going to stamp our sentiment, I love you, in Mossy Meadow onto a 1/4 inch strip of Whisper Whites, just like that. All right, so now that we've done that, we're going to take our paper snips and we're going to just cut this little guy down just a little bit, like so. Yep, that looks pretty even. Okay. And then we're going to sit that to the side and we're going to do our coloring. So what I did for this one, I used my Petal Pink. I'm going to start off with my dark, and then I'm going to just create my shadowed areas. So like underneath his belly, I'm going to color, kind of saturate that cardstock pretty good with this dark. So I'm going to do it like under his belly, where his leg, his opposite side legs meet his belly. I'm going to do this, the bottom, his butt, underneath his chin, underneath his snout. And I'm going to color his snout. And this is in dark Petal Pink, by the way. I'm going to color in his ear, behind his ear, and then right where his opposite ear meets his head, just like that. Okay. Then I'm going to take my light Petal Pink, and I'm just going to lightly color. I'm not going to saturate the cardstock with this ink, so I'm kind of using a light hand. I'm going to color the little piggy with the lights using my brush tip. Make sure you don't forget his tail. Okay, just like that. And then I'm going to go in with my fine tip of the light Petal Pink, and I'm going to just kind of blend in where the dark meets the light. So I'm just going to like pull that color in into the center, or towards the center. And I'm going to do that all the way around his body, just like that. Cool. You'll want to color your pig first before you stamp your lips onto his butt, because you run the risk of it bleeding or smearing. So I don't want that to happen. So that's why I'm coloring my pig first. All right, so we're going to start off with the ground, where it looks like mud and dirt. So we're going to take our dark crumb cake, and I'm just going to color where the dirt is, just like that. I'm going to color in his hooves. Okay, just like that. Then I'm going to take my my light crumb cake, and with the brush tip, I'm going to, no, not with the brush tip, with my fine tip, I'm going to kind of do a couple of squigglies for the ground, just like that. And then I'm going to take the brush tip of my color lifter, and I'm going to kind of like at the bottom of where I have that crumb cake, I'm just going to run my marker over it a little bit to kind of blend it out into the cardstock. So that way it kind of looks like it's going. I don't know, flowing? I don't know how to explain it, but I'm just using that to kind of make it blend a little better. All right, now we're going to go in and take our lovely lipstick, and we're going to stamp the lips onto his backside, just like that. Oh, and one thing I forgot to do was color the grass. So there's some like little grass parts down here. So I'm going to use my Granny Apple Green, kind of outline that grass. There we go. Just like that. All right. And now we're left with assembling our cards. So we're going to go ahead, flip this little guy over, add some glue. Glue's almost gone. like this. And then we're going to take our sentiment and we're going to add some dimensionals onto the back side. There we go, and we're gonna just stick this little guy on here just like that. And there we go. Isn't it cute? Such a cute card. So this is the simple one. All right, and so now we're going to work on our more stepped up card, okay? So it's gonna be the same process, however, we're just adding some additional layers and some more fanciness to this. So I'm going to start off with my card base. So this is my standard A2 size card base in petal pink. All right, let's scoot that up a little bit. I'm going to take my piece of designer series paper. This measures, I think, 2 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And this piece here, my petal pink layer, is 5 1/4 inches by 4 inches. And so we're going to just take our glue and we're going to glue this little guy down. I think it's because my glue's kind of clogged a little bit. There we go. It's coming right on out. Trying to be careful not to get glue all over my finger. Alrighty. So we're just going to add this there. All right, so we're gonna flip this little guy over and we're gonna add our thread now. So what I am gonna do, if you've watched me, you guys know how I do with bows and ribbon and thread. I always tape it down to the back side. And I'm gonna wrap this little guy around 3 times. Okay, so we're gonna wrap it 3 times. That way, because I like the look of the 3. And then when I'm wrapping it, I want to make sure that all of the ends that touch the edges of the card are spaced out. They don't necessarily have to be even, but I want to make sure that they're spaced. The biggest thing is not to pull too tight, because then your card will start to bow. And you don't want that. We don't want any bowing. I'm going to snip that little guy. Take my little tape. There we go. Make sure it's on there good. So as you can see, I have it like spaced out, but it crisscrosses. I like that look. Love it. Okay. So now that we're done with that, we can go ahead and flip this little guy over and attach it to our card base. So I'm just going to take a few more dimensionals. Put them in all 4 corners. Just like this. And then we're going to stick this to our card base. Make sure we line it up evenly. There we go. Okay. And there's that. All right, so now we're going to take our circle. So I used my stitched shapes dies for this, and this is, I think, the 3rd one in the stack. There's like 4 of them, but so this is like the 3rd one. And we're going to do the same process that we did for the first card. We're going to tape off the Hugs and Kisses part of that stamp, and we're going to ink it up in our Memento black ink, just like that. And we're going to remove our mask. I'm going to toss that little piece of tape. And then we're going to stamp the little piggy right onto our stitched circle. Try to get it as even as possible. Just like that. All right. Now we're going to do the same process. We're going to color this little guy in like we did the first one. So now we're going to go in and create our sentiments. So I have a piece of Mossy Meadow that I'm going to do my heat embossing with. All right, so now we're going to assemble our card. So we're going to take our paper snips and cut up some of these dimensionals. So we're going to need about 3 of them here. We're going to stick this little guy right here on our card. And then we're going to flip this little guy over and do the same. Add some dimensionals. Just like that. Now we're going to embellish. So the first thing I'm going to do is embellish with my thread. So I'm going to cut off 2 pieces of linen thread at 8 inches. All right, and then we're going to tie a bow. Or a double bow. And we're going to manipulate this little guys to the size that we want. We don't want it too big. And we don't want it too small. All right, so I'm going to take my glue dots and we're going to attach this little guy right onto our card and cut off the excess. So we're going to attach them like right underneath our sentiment, just like that. There we go. All right, and then last but not least, we're going to add our champagne rhinestones. So I'm going to do about 3 because 3 or odd numbers are always more flattering. And there we go. Isn't it stinking adorable? So cute. Oh, I love it. So this is the simple card. And this is the more stepped up card. All right, so here's a final look at our cards. So adorable. I love them. All right, so just as a reminder, today's cards, we use this little piggy stamp set along with the Genuine Gems. We use some of the Magnolia Lane Designer Series paper. And these are 3 items that are going to be retiring. They're on the retirement list. So if you want them, be sure to snag those bad boys up as soon as possible because it is while supplies last. With that being said, the stamp sets along with all of the supplies that I used on today's cards are linked down in the description box below as well. That'll take you straight over to my online store. I'll also have a link down below for a coordinating blog post that goes with this with a downloadable PDF that you guys can download and keep for your records if you at some point want to go back and recreate these fun and adorable cards. So that's available to you as well. Speaking of ordering, I would love to be your demonstrator. And don't forget that when you do place an order, if it's less than $150, to be sure to use the code that I provided down below. It's good until May 31st. So for orders less than $150, that's before shipping and tax, be sure to use the code. If your order is over $150 though, don't use it because then you qualify for Stampin' Rewards and I don't want you to miss out on those benefits. Okay, so don't use the code if it's over $150. But other than that, if you guys want to continue to see more videos like this and continue to get inspired and see more tutorials and videos and such, be sure to hit the notification bell and subscribe to my channel. And that's basically all I got for you guys for now. So with that being said, see you guys next time. Thanks for watching and happy stamping.